Welcome to another day of traveling around China in 88 days. Today, we are at one of the temples that gave rise to the legend of Shangri-La. And believe me when I say that this is one of the most special videos we've recorded throughout the series. But before entering the temple, let's start our tour in the ancient town of Shangri-La.
Today we're going to visit one of the most important and largest Tibetan temples in the whole country. And we were so enchanted by Shangri-La that we wanted to stay a few more days to explore. The problem is that the hotel we were originally staying at doesn't have any more rooms available. And we're going to have to move to this one here, which is also very special. That way you also learn about more places to stay in this area. You can see right away that the exterior is quite unique. This hotel isn't expensive either, and it has several very special features. For example, it has kittens. They have little birds around here too. I think I saw that they also have puppies. This is the central courtyard of the hotel. It's quite spacious. You can see that today it's the perfect place to read a book or work outside for a while because the weather is great.
The problem is climbing stairs at 3,000 meters above sea level. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest.
The construction of this hotel, just like the rest of the buildings in Shangri-La, is made entirely of wood, which makes it very cozy and perfect for insulating against sub-zero winter temperatures. It can get down to -6 degrees this week, even -7. We're going to go into our room, and honestly, I saw the pictures and I loved it. It's very unique, all made of wood, very cozy, and it has carpet, which is something I liked because then in the morning when you get up. And since it's so cold here, the floor is freezing and your feet, well, they even hurt sometimes. But the most important thing about this room is really the view we have of the temple. Have you seen it, Mitzi?
But I'm too tall for her, I have to do this. Yes. From here, it does look more like the temple from James Hilton's novel. Because originally the temple was supposed to be on a cliff, and the photos that came with the book looked similar. I'm not saying they're identical, but they're similar to this temple here.
Staying in this hotel, which is actually an old building from Shangri-La, is only costing us 168 yuan. A tip I can give you is to check the hotel price online and then come and say, hey, I saw this price online, because sometimes they want to charge you more if you want to pay directly at the place. Before heading to the temple, one thing I wanted to do was rent a traditional Tibetan outfit from Shangri-La, because if you don't know or haven't seen our previous videos, in my vision board, which is an activity that Max and I do every year at the beginning of the year, where we put the places we want to visit, if we want to travel, the books we want to read, and all the things we want to achieve that year, we put them there visually and turn it into our wallpaper, kind of to manifest, let's say, that all these wishes and dreams come true, at least that year. And one of the things I put was the Tibetan temple in Lhasa. Now, we can't go to Lhasa right now. Why? Because Lhasa is in Tibet, and for that you need a permit and it costs a lot of money. So we came here to Shangri-La, and to come here you don't need any kind of permit or anything like that. You can land in China and fly here or take a train without any problem. And the temple we're going to right now is called the Little Potala. Potala is the famous temple in Lhasa that appears in all the photos, and that's what I put in my vision board at the beginning of the year. So I said, why not celebrate it by taking some photos or spending the day dressed like the beautiful people from this region? Renting a traditional outfit in this store costs 88 yuan and includes makeup and hairstyling. I've seen that there are some for 69 yuan or something like that in other parts of the town, but in this case, since we're already in a hurry and want to go to the temple, I'm not going to spend time looking. Let's just go into this one here directly and see what they have. 你好，小朋友。Well, they have dresses, honestly, very pretty ones. This blue one here looks really nice to me. This one over here is also super cute, but I feel like it's going to make me colder. So I think the options are these ones up here, which also look warm.
It's the makeup and the dress. They're more distinctive, and there's also this.
Yes, good. I'm going to grab the little blue one that caught my eye from the beginning. Let's see how it looks on me, and I hope I don't get cold because I see that the blouse underneath looks a little thin. And we start the process of dressing like a Tibetan. I'm going to try putting on the blouse with the sweater underneath. Oh, it doesn't fit me. I already have my little Tibetan outfit on, so now let's move on to the makeup part. How do you feel? What do you think? Good. very good, very good. Honestly, the first time I got my makeup done at one of these places where you rent outfits, I didn't let them really do my makeup because it seemed like too much to me. I'm not used to it. And I know that a lot of you might say something like, I don't know how they're going to do my makeup, so I won't do it. I'd rather do my own makeup. But I recommend that you let them do your makeup. They really know how to make you look good in the photos, and it gives a fantastic touch to the outfit you choose. Also, on these occasions, you might feel like your face looks too white with the makeup, but then I feel like in the photos, it doesn't really show that much because they're taken from far away or something like that. I know I look really strange right now, but I promise you it's going to look really good at some point. Right now, she's already done a bit of my eye makeup, but I think she's still going to add a bit more. I love how they add sparkles and color here on the cheeks. I feel like it gives a really nice touch and makes me feel like some kind of magical fairy. We're going to start with the hairstyle, and I find it interesting how they're going to do it because I've seen different styles on the girls I've seen around here in Shangri-La. And I don't know if they're going to have to put some accessory on me because the problem is, as you know, the local people's hair is usually black and mine is kind of brown, so it doesn't match very well. But last time they did it really well. When I came to Yunnan last year, it also turned out very pretty. So let them do it. Let them do your makeup, your hair, everything. It's going to look beautiful. We're at the accessory stage. They put a little hat on me. The hairstyle they did for me was some braids, and they also put on this hairpiece, which, well, isn't the same color as my hair, but it doesn't look bad. I think it looks okay. But notice how they start adding each little thing. It's like when you see a video on Instagram of a super simple outfit, but then they add a couple of accessories and it suddenly looks really put together. It's the same with this. This is the final result. Honestly, I loved everything. They put it together really nicely and all for just 88 yuan. Everything. The makeup, the hairstyle, the outfit, we're going to pay right now. There it is, 88 yuan, so you can see I'm not joking.
I came to pick up Princess Bodok and look at the beauty I found. What a beautiful woman in all the Chinese outfits. She told me, I want to wear the clothes. And I didn't even hesitate. I told her, let's go, let's go, let's go, because the photos that came out of Xishuangbanna, not to brag, not just because she's my wife, but honestly, they turned out amazing. We'll post them on Noelia's Instagram. Her handle is Noelia, and honestly, they're really beautiful. And today we're going to the perfect place to take photos, which is the Songtsanglin temple, also called the Little Potala, because it's very similar to the temple in Lhasa. It has an interesting history I'll share when we arrive. Plus, we have an unconventional way to get there. I'll show you now. The temple is a bit far away, but apparently here they have modified motorcycles that give you 200 kilometers of range, which is crazy. We're talking about them having more range than the electric motorcycle I bought in Shenzhen, which is from that brand. This one is the most expensive, but actually it's not that expensive. It cost me about 10,000 yuan and it gives me a little over 100 kilometers of range. But this one gives you double that. The whole floor is for cars. Look.
Okay, I'll come soon. Get in the car.
He wanted to charge me 100 per day, and his logic is that if you're moving around by taxi, you'll end up paying a similar amount. And I told him yes, but if I take a taxi, I won't freeze or worry about driving. In the end, he gave it to me for 60.
Is a standard price. In Hainan, they charged us 50 per day.
And for the adventure, well, let's do it. 60 isn't that excessive.
Oh, they... Yes?
No, it's not yes. Is this the car? Yes, good. Where do you want to go? We want to go to Songtsanglin. That's fine.
Now the party's really starting.
Now the real adventure begins. Safety first. The helmets are ready. Now the neck warmer.
Goodbye, Manium.
Is this Songtsanglin? Yes, the area. Where can we see what's going on?
They told me it's 2 kilometers from the entrance to the temple. We have to go up a bit, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, they've built quite a bit of infrastructure around the temple. Just look at this entrance, and this is the visitor center where you buy the ticket. The entrance kind of tells me that this temple is already very commercialized. I wonder if they still use it for religious purposes. All tourist sites, no matter where they are or how remote they are, have this infrastructure for electric cars. Nowadays, they say you can cross China and even the desert in an electric car. Electric motorcycles, electric chargers, electric cars everywhere. China is impressive these days. From being one of the biggest polluters on the entire planet to becoming one of the leaders in new energy. And I heard that they have a goal to neutralize their carbon footprint by the year 2060, which would be historic. It would be impressive, especially because of how quickly it would all have happened. To have industrialized in such a short time and then cleaned everything up, it really would be something very significant. And here you're going to find a lot of cars like this one with a green license plate, which means they're electric. And you would think that in such a remote place like Shangri-La there wouldn't be so many, but I've noticed that most of the Didi rides and taxis are electric, even the public transportation. There's one charging right there. Let's get closer to see it. This is public transportation, and it's impressive because throughout the whole country, it usually costs between 1 and 2 yuan. It's very cheap and also very good. And this is where the public buses recharge. Who would have imagined, right, that this country would progress so quickly? Here is the charger connected to the machine. And charging is also very affordable. In fact, there are many car brands that sell you the car with unlimited charging for the rest of your life. It's becoming less and less common. As the industry grows, it happens less. But it was like that at first. Also, nowadays there's another very interesting way to buy cars, which is that you can buy the whole car including the battery, or you can buy just the car and rent the battery. You can rent the battery monthly. At a dealership, I saw that there was a car that cost 200,000 yuan with everything including the battery. Or 150,000 yuan without the battery, and the monthly rent was 500 yuan. Something like that, right, Nekvi? Yes, but anyway, sorry for the distraction, I got excited. Let's get back to what we came for. Welcome to the temple. Here it says Songtsanglin Shui. It's supposed to be one of the most important temples for Tibetans around the world outside of Tibet. And it's also like a small replica of the main temple in Lhasa, which is why it earned the name Little Patala. But what do you think of the lobby? It's impressive, isn't it? Well, you can book your tickets online, but we always like to do it at the ticket office because many times for travelers who don't live in China, it's complicated to use the platforms, or they don't know how to do it because sometimes they're only in Chinese. Let's see if we can do it here. You can bring a photo of your passport if you don't have it. I just asked and she said yes. Most tourist sites accept a passport photo, but since you might meet someone in a bad mood, it's safer to bring your passport. Well, the tickets cost 55 yuan per person, and the only way up is by walking. It's 2 kilometers, and considering we're at 3,300 meters above sea level, it can be a challenge. That's why they warn you at the entrance so you don't waste your money.
They also said that it can take you 3 hours or more to go through the temple.
Less than 8, and at this point, anything that comes up. Damn. Okay, we've already walked for quite a while and the monastery still hasn't shown up. There was a man behind us in a truck who offered to give us a ride, and at the entrance they warn you can only go up on foot. But back there, the man who's there with his truck is probably a local. He must live around here and offers travelers the chance to go up to the top in his car. I didn't ask his rates, but if you come here, you can always take a car into the park since money makes things happen. From here we can already see the wonderful temple shining behind these monuments. And if you remember, we saw some of them yesterday at the Temple of the 100 Roosters. This is a stupa, and it's used for prayers while you walk around it clockwise. It also has some prayer wheels for you to spin while you say your prayers. And here, Noelia is going to give us a demonstration of how to do a walking meditation. I was told it's at least 3 times. And over here we have another structure that we didn't see yesterday. This is called a mound of ritual stones. And in Tibetan culture it's known as an obo. As you can see, it consists of a mound of stones stacked in a conical or pyramidal shape. It also has some cloth bands tied to it which are known as katas. These hanging cloths are offerings made by the faithful, by believers, but you don't necessarily have to belong to the Tibetan religion to hang them as long as you do it with devotion. If you notice, there are some vertical poles that symbolize the connection with the celestial world, and they are excellent places to tie prayer flags. Here we have our first stop for Noelia's photos. From here we can see Lake Lamuyangtso and the Songtsanglin monastery. In fact, it was decided to establish the temple on the shores of the lake because it is believed that this lake is home to the goddess Bandan Lamu, who is also known as the goddess known as the fairy soul of heaven. These names are complex, so I'm not going to say them in Mandarin Chinese, since they also have Tibetan names, making it even more complicated. Well, This lake covers an area of 200,000 square meters, while the temple covers an area of 330,000 square meters. It's said that more than 700 monks live here today, but at its peak, it was home to more than 3,000 Tibetan monks who lived in the area. On the shores of the lake, we came across some wonderful animals because they're not just any kind of horse. These friends you see here are Tibetan horses, and they're also known as Tibetan ponies because even though they're adults, they're very short. In fact, they only reach between 1.2 and 1.4 meters tall. But what really makes them impressive is their physical endurance, since these animals can withstand altitudes of up to 4,000 meters above sea level, and they are capable of carrying heavy loads over long distances, which makes them essential for Tibetans. But besides this, they also have a very important spiritual meaning, because for the locals, they represent good fortune and vital energy. In fact, if you've been following the series, you will have seen that there are flags hanging everywhere known as wind horses, alluding to these wonderful animals, which are supposed to have quite a dense coat. But at least in the specimens we have here, I don't see it that much, and that's because even among Tibetan horses there are different breeds. They all come from the same family, but let's say they differ a little in their physical characteristics. Also, I love how the sound of the bells tied around their necks perfectly matches the peace and tranquility you feel being here in the temple. A few moments ago, there was a Tibetan monk sitting next to this statue who was engaged in contemplation, and I found it very curious because I couldn't stop thinking, what could he be thinking as he sees so many tourists who only come to take a picture? And especially in the age of social media, I think that traveling is more and more about going, taking a photo, or recording a video, and much less about contemplating and enjoying the present. And I know it's ironic that I'm saying this now because you are watching it precisely on a screen. But I also think that there are many people who won't necessarily be fortunate enough to come all the way here. Just like Noelia and I won't be fortunate enough to visit every place in the world, and that's why I consider it a necessary evil. But this reflection also helps me to take a moment and enjoy the fact that I'm here in such a wonderful place. Walking around the lake, we saw that there were many birds, and I said to Noelia, "Did you see the ducks? Let's take a picture," but as we got closer, we realized they're completely different from ducks. They're smaller. It turns out that these birds behind me are called common coots, and they're very common here in Tibet. But I had never seen one in my country. In theory, they only grow between 36 and 42 centimeters, but the representative bird of this temple is the black-necked crane, which is a migratory bird. And maybe that's why we don't see it right now, but it's a wonderful animal representative of China, especially the Tibetan region, and it often comes around here. Very good. And he's whistling at you. Are you Mr. Zhang? How does Mr. Zhang say hello? Yes, go ahead. Taxi deal? I heard about demo in Qinghai. Do you know demo? Taxi deal is used nationwide.
Hello.
So what does it mean that he's coming now? A held-back freshman? How do you feel at the foot of the monastery?
Well, it's basically like seeing the vision board I made at the beginning of the year. It has a temple that's very, very similar to this one. And I really wanted to get to know a bit about Tibetan culture this year, because for me, Tibet is like a mystical place. And even though Shangri-La itself isn't part of the Tibetan Autonomous Region, it is still Tibet. And you all can come too, you don't need any special permit.
Can I go there? Yes. Can I go up top? Yes.
Yes, you don't need to walk on the street. How much does it cost? Walk slowly. Everyone here prefers walking on the street.
Can I go next to you? Yes.
Yes, you don't need to walk.
At least walk slowly.
Can I? Yes.
You don't need to walk.
On foot.
Oh.
Can I go like this, or...
No? No. Excuse me. Excuse me. He wants to get in the car, walk on the street. The lady got upset because I had already told her yes. I said, well, we can go up by car and come down on foot, but Noelia told me, no, why would we miss the most beautiful part? We have to go up on foot. Hello, Shongli. Hello, brothers. Demo? Is it Demo? Ma? Is Demo the village chief? No, wait, is it Tibetan? No, it's Diema. It's Diema. Diema is Tibetan, not strange. Diema means Tashidele. What does Tashidele mean? Gele? Gele? Yes, goodbye. Gele, 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 no gele. Bye, see you next time. Milk taxi, that's enough, brothers. Tashidele, tashidele, good. Okay, thank you. Gele, gele. This does make me feel a bit more like I did when I read James Hilton's book. And really, the author's words draw you into a wonderful world, a magical world, full of peace, a utopia that is hard to translate into reality. Except in cases like this, which is the Songtsanglin temple. And I really can't describe the feeling of standing at the foot of this beautiful temple. As we climb up to this wonderful place, let me read you the author's description when the main character first encounters Shangri-La, because I found it fascinating, and it went like this. It was indeed a strange and almost unbelievable sight. A cluster of colorful pavilions clung to the mountainside, not with a castle's somber defiance, but with the fortuitous delicacy of flower petals emerging from a cliff.
Delicadeza de pétalos de flores que emergen de un peñasco.
A magnificent and exquisite place. An austere emotion made one look up from the rooftops to the bastion of grey rock above, as tremendous as the Wetterhorn. It was a magnificent and exquisite place. That took your breath away.
Because it took my breath away.
And also, before that paragraph, the author says that the main character was so excited to see this place that he even started to believe it was the shortness of breath and the altitude that were making him hallucinate. And it really can give you that feeling, especially at first. The climb is pretty tough. The monastery is supposed to be only 30 meters high from the base to the top, but considering the 3,000 meters of altitude we have here, its 146 steps feel really tough. And another very interesting thing is that, according to the signs we have here, you should walk clockwise. And this act of walking clockwise is known as circumambulation or kora, and it has a deeply spiritual and cultural meaning rooted in Tibetan Buddhism. But if you're not Tibetan, you have to do it out of respect for Buddhist teachings. And if you're Tibetan, for Tibetans, it's not necessary for you to be an initiate of their religion to receive the purification and accumulation of merits that come with it. Also, moving clockwise imitates the movement of the sun, so it's very auspicious for them, and it's the correct way to ascend to the temple. Look at the number of young people and girls who come wearing traditional dresses. I find it really interesting because I don't think you'd easily find men dressed as charros at national monuments in Mexico. I used to think it was just for girls, but here it's very inclusive, and now I'm considering trying it myself. Now that I think about it, if we had taken the car to the top, we would have missed out on the added benefit of purifying our karma by walking the circuit clockwise. Taking that into account, I think it's definitely worth going up on foot.
I mean, after all, we're here to see the monastery. Taking the car up would really be like just coming here and taking a picture. I think the experience and traveling is about going up, and even if you have to come back down later, it's just that here in China, it seems like people are really used to taking those little carts to save energy. You see, if you'd gone by car, you would have missed the karmic purification, my people.
It's true, I would have missed out on the karmic circuit, and if you notice, everything here in Tibet centers on moving clockwise because they believe everything is a cycle, life is a cycle. That's why they have these prayer wheels that also have to spin clockwise, and each turn is like a prayer. For them, it's the same whether you spin the prayer wheel or recite a prayer of Om Mani Padme Hum. It has the same meaning. Look, here are the monks selling bracelets and other things. And I love how colorful the buildings are. In fact, each color has a different meaning. For example, red represents life and energy, vitality and protection, while yellow represents knowledge, fertility and spiritual flourishing. And that's why these are the two most abundant colors here.
We just entered a shop where the monks from this monastery were selling different religious items. Among them, what caught my attention was that they were selling yapas or malas. And what is a yapa or a mala, you might be wondering? Well, a yapa or a mala is like a kind of rosary used in religions or traditions like Hinduism or Buddhism to recite mantras and for meditation. Normally, they are made up of about 108 beads in total, and the purpose of each bead is to keep track of how many times you have recited each mantra or prayer. And this also makes it easier to concentrate and connect spiritually. Now, we asked the monks what that was because I know it as yapa or mala, and they told us another name. It seems like here they call it something different. Actually, I think each one had a different name too, I don't know why. but I do know that they're called yapas or malas. And the term japa comes from Sanskrit, which is a very ancient language that was used in Tibet. And this word japa means to murmur or recite in a low voice, while mala translates as garland or necklace. It caught my attention because my mom uses this type of meditation instrument very frequently. And she said that they were something very important because in addition, when you use it for recitation and meditation, it's also supposed to absorb energy, and then it can become an instrument of protection or for projecting the vibe you want to attract. And that's why I asked the monks if I could buy one. And they told me of course I could, but they cost between 200 and 400 yuan, which honestly seemed a bit expensive to me. Well, it's just that the yapas they have in this store are made from more expensive materials. They don't have to be made from precious stones or very luxurious woods. The truth is that a yapa only needs to be what it is, a yapa, which is a tool for meditation and prayer. And well, while I was telling you all this information about yapas, malas, and spirituality, Max is meditating on a little noodle.
No, are you coming to show off?
Nekfura? No, I'm here to steal your food.
We reached the top of the temple, and I would like to say that what impressed me the most is the wonderful view we have behind us. But I was more impressed by the number of girls and boys who come here dressed as Tibetans to take pictures. And honestly, it really looks like a photo studio because of the number of people dressed like that, including Noelia. Could you have imagined something like this atop the temple? Yes. I didn't. No, just imagine it's like being in a cathedral, dressed as Jesus Christ. Yes, it's like being in a very famous cathedral dressed not as Jesus Christ, but as a pilgrim, you know? Maybe it would be like being dressed as a pilgrim or something like that. And I don't know, I feel like that would be a bit harder, but here it's something very common. Also, the sound of the birds flying over the temple gives it a really beautiful atmosphere. And I would love to have the chance to hear it without so much noise from the tourists. But of course, that would be as utopian as Shangri-La itself. And going back to the topic of the birds, you might be wondering what kind of birds they are. At first, I thought they were crows, but actually they're called chumbas, red-billed chumbas that are very famous here in Tibet. And when I saw them, I couldn't help but wonder why they're only flying around the temple, because after spending 2 days in the city of Shangri-La, we didn't see a single chumba. But here you can see lots of them, all circling the temple, and it seems like their nests are on the roof. And there are different explanations for this. The Tibetans believe that these birds are attracted by the positive energy surrounding the temple, and that's why they've chosen to make this their home. But for those who are a bit more skeptical, there's also a scientific explanation that says, since this place is so high up, the wind currents are favorable for the birds and they feel comfortable here. It's also believed that because there are so many tourists and monks around, it's easier for them to find food here. And some people even say that the monks themselves might feed them so they don't leave, since they're considered animals of good omen. Negfi, do you want a photo? Yes. Join the crowds of pretty girls taking photos.
You only live once.
There are many guys here specifically offering their services as professional photographers, and you can't walk anywhere without getting in the way of people's photos. Honestly, this is when the AI feature that removes things behind you is useful, right? You can erase all the people that way.
Yeah, no, Chinese girls are experts at editing. I mean, so much so that when I took photos in Xishuangbanna, they showed me some pictures of a girl who was a bit fuller, and they literally made her look like a supermodel. And I was like, but what's wrong with the way she looked before? I mean, he was showing me like, look how cool, I can make your face super slim. And for me, it was like, I'd actually prefer it more natural.
Natural. And the guy just walked behind Noelia dressed as a Tibetan, and it really surprised me because they also wear makeup, they also put on glitter, the wig and everything. What a beautiful cat. You found a great place, my friend. You really found a good place to live. You have no idea how long it took us to cross the main square, because between taking pictures of Noelia and dodging the girls and guys taking photos, it really took us a long time. Tell me if it fits or doesn't fit James Hilton's description in his book. It's something that leaves you speechless. But not just because of its architecture, but also because of its surroundings, the birds, the sound of the prayer flags, because of the girls and boys who also give the temple a vibrant atmosphere, and the monks who occasionally pass by. Although the truth is that I expected to see more monks than girls dressed in traditional clothes, but in this case I think we saw about 2 or 3. I imagine that this must be like the tourist side of the temple, while the monks live in the back part, which is not accessible. In fact, here we have the monks' laundry, they have their clothes hanging and access is limited back there. Being here, I can't help but wonder if one day I'll be able to remember this experience, and by remember I don't mean the images or how it looked or what was here, because that's what photos and videos are for. By remember, I mean more the feeling of being here for the first time, the goosebumps on my skin, and the calm you feel when you hear the birds, the bells, and see people passing by dressed in traditional clothing. Because at 30 years old, which many would say isn't that much, I already have memories from middle school and high school that have turned into faded memories. For example, there are songs that teleport me back to middle school, but how much of that is real and how much of that is just my imagination adding things? I'll really never know. And the same thing will happen with a day like this. That's why they say you only live once and that moments can't be repeated, and that's why you have to enjoy them while you're there. A random thought, if you want to call it that. But right now, the last thing I want is to leave this place, because these are moments that feel really nice. And that's one of the reasons why we started this blog. Originally, this project was a journal that I've kept since I was about 15 years old, precisely because I wanted to preserve these kinds of moments. And the more I realized that I'd reread those memories and couldn't recover the feeling of having been there, the more frustrated I became. So I thought the best way to do it would be through videos. But this is still an ongoing experiment and only time will tell.
What? Thank you for
Watching a...
non-birthday.
What do you mean, a non-birthday?
A birthday? What do you mean you didn't have one? A non-birthday present.
That's why you're crying, right? Ha! Look how pretty. He gave me a little extra, and while I was reflecting, suddenly Noelia arrived with this gift, a little keepsake she bought here from the monks. And I feel that this small gesture will help precisely to prevent my memories from fading, which is exactly what I fear. Because it's a way to have something tangible, something beautiful, something that has meaning. And she also bought one for her mom, for my mom. And honestly, I don't buy a lot of trinkets, but these kinds of details seem very nice to me. Thank you very much. She got emotional.
It's just that I got really emotional because, and I think this is like the 5th time I've said it, but this was on my vision board at the beginning of the year, and seeing it come true is, I mean, such a beautiful feeling. I really like meditation and all that, but I feel like I'm not that consistent, and Max he meditates every day. Well, except now. No, yeah, but then I thought like, I think it's a nice unbirthday gift. Well, we're just leaving this wonderful temple, and it got dark on us as we were coming back. Now we're going to the old city to see what the atmosphere is like at night. Wow, look at this temple we just found on our way back to the old city. It's amazing.
Well, our tour of the old city is starting, and we didn't think we'd be able to do it by motorcycle, but this way we can cover more in less time and stop at whatever looks interesting, like right now.
We had already heard about this activity where people get together to dance. We hadn't seen it yet, but the magic conch has spoken. I guess we'll have to dance. What a crazy dance, seriously. It's like in Mexico we would dance the golden horse or the rodeo clown, but this is the extreme version. Honestly, it makes me want to stay here for a month just to learn how to dance like they do. The dance is super interesting. Actually, once you learn it, it's like their long 8-count sequences. So it's kind of hard to learn the whole sequence. Look at the jumps they do, the little short steps, the long ones. Look at the man dressed as a soldier. He knows it too, I think.
We wanted to give you the night tour of the city of Shangri-La, but we came across a block where people of all ages are dancing. And it gave us goosebumps because we thought it was amazing that they don't distinguish between races, ethnicities, economic status, or ages. You can find grandmothers, uncles, cousins, kids, foreigners, all dancing to the rhythm of the local songs. And honestly, it's something really beautiful. And I wish we had the same kind of entertainment everywhere in the world. Because I would love to be able to take my mom, my grandmother, my cousins, and my wife dancing in the town square. And here that's possible. It's a kind of fun you can't find just anywhere in the world. And today we got to witness it. Our feet already hurt, they're totally worn out, and there's still a lot more to experience. So we'll see you tomorrow with a new video.
We're freezing. Oh, goodbye.